Yates-Heiferman. I want to welcome everyone here at the sanctuary, as well as those of you who are viewing the funeral remotely. Just a gentle reminder for those of you here in the temple this morning. If you have a cell phone with you, please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. The interment will take place immediately following the service at Beryll Cemetery in Blue Island. There will be a procession forming in our parking lot. We'll make sure that all the vehicles that are wanting to go to the cemetery are clearly marked with an orange funeral sticker that would be placed in your front windshield, as well as a magnetic flag for the top of your car. And please be careful in the procession. Use your bright headlights and your emergency flashers at all times. And try to stay as close as safety will permit to the car in front of you. The gathering will be at the Idlewild Country Club in Flossmoor, 12901 Dixie Highway, today from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Dominion time at 6:30. All that information is listed inside your service folder that you received. If you did not receive one, they are available as you exit. And the memorial contributions information as well to Fido's Lady Homewood. The following people have been selected to serve as pallbearers. At the conclusion of the service, I'll ask the following women to please step forward to help escort EJ's casket from the sanctuary. They are Nancy Tarwater, Stephanie Decker, Kay Sutton, Patty Stouse, Stephanie Applebaum, Sue Sterling, and Sandra Guaccio. At this time, I'll ask the family that are wearing the Kriya ribbons to gather towards the front for the rabbi to perform the ancient rite of Kriya.
Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gift of spirit our loved one gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light and their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. You who heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds, grant comfort and consolation to these mourners as they face their grief. Fill their lives with the acts of loving kindness and truth, which serve as the genuine memorial to our dear BJ. The deep bond of love will remain unbroken. Amen. Welcome, and thank you for being here today as we gather in the spirit of love, memory, and community to honor the life of Beryll Yates-Heiferman. Today we come together to celebrate the unique and sacred journey of a life well lived and to pay tribute to one who touched so many in such meaningful ways. We also gather today to comfort the mourners, husband Jay Heiferman, sisters Barbara and husband David Slivnik and Beth Hunter, our in-laws Kenneth and wife Kim Heiferman, Beth Heiferman, Gary Heiferman, husband Paul, Gwen Benita, Scott Heiferman, and Darren Hunter, and her nieces and nephews, Jeremy and wife Sarah Slivnik, Alyssa Slivnik, Daniel and wife Holly Heiferman, Michael Heiferman, Jeffrey Heiferman, Lila, Jane Heiferman, and Wyatt Heiferman. May this service bring comfort to them and to all who mourn this great loss. In times of grief and loss, we look to the words of others to guide us, to give voice to what we're feeling, to inspire us, to bring us comfort. In particular, as Jews, we look to the ancient words of the Psalms. In Psalm 23, as we encounter it, we might ask, what does it mean to shepherd a soul? A shepherd doesn't drive from behind, but walks with the flock, guiding, protecting, nourishing, and making sure none are lost or left behind. To shepherd a soul is to walk beside someone in love, deep relation, helping them find their path, their peace, and their place in the world. To shepherd a soul means to recognize each individual's unique journey, their vulnerabilities, fears, and potential. At times, to lead gently, to nourish with wisdom, provide stillness with needed, to lead beside still waters, and restore dignity when it has been torn down, to restore my soul. We are all each other's sheep and shepherds, powered by the divine spark within. And truly, as I read this, it strikes me, this metaphor of a shepherd is about the deep, deep relationship and understanding between a human being and other living beings, that flock, who also have a soul, maybe have a bit less understanding in some ways, but in other words, understand far more than we ever will. So this way too, Psalm 23 is so appropriate for someone who shepherded in her life. As a loved one moves on to the next phase of existence, through the valley of the shadow of death, to a place beyond physical dimension, we express the belief that they are still never alone. They are still touched by the shepherd within us, and they are guided by an endless presence we might call life, vitality, connection, the universe, Adonai, or simply God. Psalm 23.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בינות אשר ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי שובב, נפשי שובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צלמוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Our rabbis taught that there are three crowns: the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of royalty. But they emphasize that the crown of a good name exceeds them all. The book of Ecclesiastes says, Tov Shem Mishemen Tov. A good name is to be treasured above precious oil. Wealth, health, even life passes away, but a good name lives forever. It is this view that the Talmud teaches when it says that monuments need not be erected for the righteous. Their deeds are their memorials. They will be remembered and revered for the kindness they have shown and for the love they have given. They are shining examples of what it means to be a mensch, or in this case, as I like to say, a womensch. In times of loss, we look to our Jewish tradition, connecting the life of the loved one we have lost to the eternal values and truths that are at the heart of Judaism. We look to our sacred Torah, to our teachings, and to the holy times, our calendar, days of celebration and commemoration. This week, this Friday, will be Tu B'Av, the 15th of the Hebrew month of Av. In an ancient tradition described over 2,000 years ago, we're told that the maidens of Jerusalem would go out into the outskirts, into the beautiful fields and vineyards, where they would dance and sing, and the young men would come out as well and find them there. And that is where they would find their partner. It was a kind of Sadie Hawkins Day and Valentine's all rolled into one, far predating any of them. A day of finding your mate, your match. What is it to find a match or to make a match? Well, I want to share another teaching, the rabbis interpreting the story of creation, related the following. A Roman nobleman asked the rabbi Yosef bar Chalafta, saying to him, "In how many days did the Holy Blessed One create the world?" He said to him, "In 6 days, as it is written, for in 6 days Adonai made the heavens and the earth." The nobleman said to him, "From that time until now, what has God been doing?" Rabbi Yossi replied, "Good question. God is sitting making matches. The daughter of so-and-so to so-and-so, the son of so-and-so to so-and-so." The nobleman said to him, "That is God's vocation?" You can imagine if we gave him a little Yiddish spin. "No, that's it. I too can do so. I have several slaves and I have several maidservants, and I can make matches between them in a single moment." Rabbi Yossi said, "If it appears simple in your eyes, before the Holy Blessed One, it is as difficult as the parting of the Red Sea." Rabbi Yosef bar Chalafta went on his way. And what did the nobleman do? He took 1,000 slaves and 1,000 maidservants and stood them in several lines. He said, "So-and-so man shall marry so-and-so woman. So-and-so woman shall marry so-and-so man." He made matches between them in one night. The next day, they each came to him. This one, his head was wounded. This one, his eye was gouged out. This one, his leg broken. That one said, "I do not want this one." Immediately, the nobleman sent and brought Rabbi Yosef bar Chalafta. He said to him, "There is no God like your God. Your Torah, it is true, fine and praiseworthy. You spoke well." He said to him, Rabbi Yossi said to the nobleman, is it not what I said to you? If it appears simple in your eyes before the Holy Blessed One, it is as difficult as parting the Red Sea. And this is probably part of the reason that in Jewish tradition, if a person makes 3 matches of spouses, that person is said to have earned a place of honor in the world to come. Anyone who knew BJ knows that she made matches. She matched so many souls, not human to human, but human to animal. She made soulmates. She found them for each other. We know that within each of us there is a divine spark. And the idea is that as we behave in the world, the best that we can do is to follow that spark, to act as the divine, and in that way bring holiness into the world. And in this way, BJ certainly was living up to her divine inner essence. We think about the word salvation, which is another word that we often use when referring to the divine, to God. It is defined as the state of being saved or protected from harm or a dire situation. If we look at the definition of the word to rescue, it is to bring someone or something out of danger, attack, harm, to deliver or save. BJ also brought so much salvation into the world. To be an animal rescuer, to bring rescue, is to bring salvation. Speaking of matches and salvation, Jay met BJ through an Ileana Jewish singles event at a comedy club in Maryville. Certainly a true match. He was struck by this strong, independent woman. She had launched herself. Her parents' years of financial security were still ahead of them when she reached adulthood. So she did it all on her own. She had a stable career as a legal secretary, not an assistant, as the newfangled terminology might have it. She saw a lot of pride in that work and knew how important it was, and she held it up as a badge of honor. She worked at the large law firm of Baker and McKenzie. Jay was attracted to what drew so many to BJ. What you see is what you get was always the case with her. She was exactly who she appeared to be. And that's why she didn't follow the expected paths for young Jewish women of her generation. Her parents may have wanted a doctor or lawyer, but she, with the soul of an artist, had other ideas. She eventually bought a pickup truck, had friends who lived in teepees, listened to country and Western music. She loved the Grateful Dead, not just for the music, but for the whole ethos. She wasn't a deadhead traveling all around, but someone who not only loved that music, but enjoyed the whole communal creative scene that would appear outside the shows. Pop-ups, before pop-ups were a thing. So Jay seized on his luck when her ride drank a little too much to drive her home. He jumped at the chance to give her a ride. And the rest, as they say, is history. They created a life that was kind of like parallel play. They lived in their separate worlds, but they met at home, their shared sacred space. They really understood each other. Together over their years, they had 31 animals, 3 horses, 13 cats, 15 dogs. And Jay had to be talked into each one. And by talked, we really mean tricked. Now, apparently time in those law offices paid off, as BJ was an expert negotiator. Travel was often the bargaining chip, because she hated flying. At first, they'd go to Club Med together, not too far a distance, but later, Jay wanted to go further afield. And so, solo trips to Europe and Israel were in the future. So, how did this play out exactly? Let me tell you one story Jay shared with me. Their beloved cat, Rudy, died. And cats, have a long life, so he had been with them a long time. He died just a week before Jay went with his family to Poland to explore their own roots and learn of the history, both celebratory, joyous, and tragic. He was at a cafe on the town square, a town in Poland, one that had its own tragic history. A very intense moment for Jay, an experience he was wanted to share with BJ, so he called her via Skype. He wasn't sure if it was the intensity of the moment or the phantom presence of forebears, but Jay could swear he saw a ghost on that screen because Rudy gracefully sidled by, moves across the screen. He immediately understood that Rudy 1 of blessed memory had been replaced with Rudy 2. Who knows how long this had been in the works? BJ was crafty. In 2008, she was laid off in the Great Recession. She told Jay she was going to take the summer off. Interestingly, she never went back to work, and Jay later reflected that he failed to ask which summer she was taking off and just how many. But this was an arrangement that worked out well. Jay, his business was growing, and he was constantly running back and forth to care for the animals. And it freed BJ to answer her true calling, a real live Dr. Dolittle, if there was one. She engaged in work on rescue, moderating message boards. In their life together, BJ would often go to temple with Jay just because she knew she didn't want him to be alone. But she didn't join Hadassah like her mother or NCJW. Jay wasn't even sure if she knew the temple had a sisterhood. So you might get the mistaken impression that being Jewish wasn't important to her. But she identified strongly. Like a good bloodhound, she sniffed out the few Jews in each group she participated in. And let's be clear that local horse owners or animal rescue is not always your traditional Jewish space. So there would be a few, but she would find them, connect with them, and then further connect them with the other members of the tribe. Not that you should get the mistaken impression that finding other Jews was her motivation for her participation. Not at all. She was there to make friends and to find home for animals, which, once she made those friends, she would get their address and add them to her address book. And they would receive regular emails from her whenever there was a living creature in need of a temporary or, even better, a forever home. And if there was any kind of question of how quickly to make it happen, BJ, her word was bond, and she could speak with any of the organizations to make sure things moved along quickly. While she may not have been part of the Jewish-centered women's group, she formed her own bonds of sisterhood. The 6 women, longtime friends, family really, who will serve as pallbearers are a testament to those deep bonds. And they're also a testament to the foundation established in her family, the love and pride she felt for her younger sisters. They were separated by 6 and 9 years, so by the time BJ left the house, they were only just reaching middle school. Still, they knew how deeply BJ cared for them for moments big and small. One such moment came when BJ was a teenager. She had her own room in the house, known as the museum, because in addition to a beautiful globe, it had well-crafted figurines, perfectly arranged and on display on her shelves. Majestic horses and friendly dogs, Japanese wartime figurines. Well, as you can imagine, for any 8-year-old girl, they called out to Barbara every time she passed her room. One time, when she knew BJ was out, she finally succumbed to the temptation, climbed up on her bed and grabbed them all down. She was fully immersed in an imaginary world of horseplay when BJ appeared at the door. Barbara braced for the well-deserved scolding she thought she had coming. Instead, BJ got right down on the floor with her and proceeded to tell her the names of each of the horses, where they came from, what they were bred for. And they played, and BJ taught and shared like that for what seemed like hours. What a gift for them both. A big sister's attention. And for BJ to revel in 2 of the most important things in her life, love of animals and sisterhood. In 2020, she got a difficult diagnosis for cancer. And she took it like a good soldier. All along, she did exactly what the doctor ordered. Wisely, she never asked too many questions, certainly never about how much time it would be. There was no sense dwelling on this. And it's not that she felt it was fair, but you can't argue with cancer. And besides, she had more work to do. Purpose on this earth to live for, her animals, and for her soulmate, Jay. The teal ribbon provided another outlet for sisterhood. And amazingly, she beat the odds on every treatment. There's a sense that BJ thought she could chase those odds forever. Along the way, she had so much support, so much help. And a particular note was her brother-in-law, David, himself an oncologist, there to explain any question that might come up. But eventually, cancer caught up with her. But before that, just this year on July 4th, there was a parade down Ridge Road, Homewood July 4th parade, and Jay had a place of pride on a float. When I was over there a couple days ago, he showed me the chair that BJ schlepped from their house all the way to Ridge Road, barely able to walk, but devoted to watching Jay in the parade. She showed up for you, I said. He corrected me or adjusted that statement. We showed up for each other in his most understated and modest way, gently reminding me of all he had done the last 5 years to keep her comfortable and alive. The beauty of such a life, and of a life well lived, is that BJ never felt there wasn't enough for her. She was utterly and completely satisfied with her life. And that we all yearn for more days than we had, and we certainly yearn for more days with her. She lived a good life, made an impression upon so many, made so many matches, with the memory of her presence in all of those lives. It will forever be a blessing. I'd like to invite Sister Barbara, who took what may be a familiar reading to many, a reading of remembrance, and adopted it to fit BJ. Turn that on.
So this is something that some of you may be familiar with, but we have altered it a little bit. The first few verses, I'm going to ask you to respond, we remember them. At the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. I now add, with love for my beautiful sister, our beautiful sister, sweet Aunt Honey, a devoted lifelong partner, and a priceless friend to so many of you here. So for this, I'm going to ask you to say, I will remember her. With the barking of a dog caged too long in a local shelter, I will remember her. Hearing that a cat is no longer wanted or is living abandoned on the streets, I will remember her. When horses no longer are valued or needed, and they are able to run again with windswept tails and dancing manes, I will remember her. While resting in a garden surrounded by marigolds and dragonflies, I will remember her. In hiking leafy trails where flora and fauna thrive, I will remember her. When gazing over sun-kissed scapes in Colorado or Arizona, I will remember her. When people reach out to me in love, as she did when I felt sick in body or in spirit, I will remember her. When I am aware of pain and suffering in my community or in the world, and in my heart I am called to serve, I will remember her. When sharing time with the greatest friend in her life, Jay, who just happened to be her absolute everything, I will remember her. For as long as I live, she too will live, for she is now a part of me, as I and we remember her.
In a moment, we will conclude our service with the chanting of El Malay Rachamim. In this prayer, we express the hope, the wish that the person who we have lost, that BJ will remain bound up in the bonds of the living. And I always find it important to teach that in Judaism, the words of our prayers are not sent out into the universe like some hocus pocus, hoping that someone out there will make them a reality. Rather, they are our marching orders, our mission statement. They tell us how we should behave in the world. And in the case of El Malay Rachamim, expressing the wish that they be bound up in our lives. What that means is that we continue to share stories, to tell them when we gather later, tonight, whenever we see each other, to tell others those stories, and to act in the way that they would act. So that is our mission. I'll read the English translation first. Exalted, compassionate God, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure who shine with the splendor of the heavens to the soul of our dear BJ, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, remember all her worthy deeds in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May her memory always inspire us to attain dignity and holiness in life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Before this concluding prayer, I think Susan is here just for some concluding announcements before El Malay Rachamim, or we're okay.
So anyone who's going to the cemetery, please go directly to your cars after the service.
As you are able, I invite you to rise for El Malay Rachamim, and we'll remain standing after that, and that is when we'll ask the pallbearers to come forward.
El Malay Rachamim, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מסעירים את נשמת ברוניה בת סל ושנדל מוטל שהלכה לעולמה. בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, וינוחה בשלום על משכן